Okay, this is just background stuff, shows the vehicle on the pad. This shows Bob Crippen getting ready to fly, and there's me, and you can see my big project the week before flight was getting bigger United States flags put on our pressure suits. And the reason for that was one of these bureaucrats told me that it had to be a small flag to balance the space shuttle program, and I pointed out to him that the United States was bigger than the space shuttle program.
This shows us in the van, the traditional van that had been carrying Apollo crews out, that we rode out and going into the white room of the vehicle. Everybody had to wear those little masks, theoretically, for our last week there so that we wouldn't contaminate them or something.
They found that nobody at the Cape got sick from us being around them.
This is shutting up the hatch just prior to launch, and John said it gets kind of lonely out there.
This is high-speed ignition of the three main engines. The vibration in the cockpit was very low at this time after the engines light off. The instruments just a little blurred, but you could read every one of them. Look at those babies come up to speed. This is from the cockpit. Shows how the vehicle moves back and forth there. And this is high-speed photography of the bolts blowing and the solid rocket motors lighting off. And all that, this water spray right there where they're trying to keep things cool and not having much luck. And this is very high-speed photography. Because when it lit off, there was a couple of thumps, and we started moving up very slowly. Look at these beautiful shocks coming out of the main engine at liftoff, and it's moving a lot faster than that. This shows how close it comes to the intertank access arm, which has always worried me some. It's really getting up and going.
John and I expected a real hard kick in the pants. There shows that what it looked like out John's window.
It's called tower clear right from the cockpit.
But it was actually a really very smooth liftoff with very little shaking associated with it. There's the road program to head us out over the ocean.
And the vehicle is, the cockpit vibration is such that you can still read all your instruments in there, and maybe 10 cycles per second. This shows the roll program from inside the cockpit out the side window, and it's a thing of beauty. It's just as smooth as glass. There's no accelerations involved, and this shows the vehicle speed picking up. It's probably about ready to go supersonic right now, almost going straight up. And we said that's what it was going to do, but I didn't really believe it would, but it did.
We were getting a little lost on our trajectory here that we're still analyzing right now. Also, I was seeing some debris coming off from up over the nose that was coming back and hitting the windscreen and going over the top of the vehicle that we weren't sure what it is, like ice or soapy. That's the stuff on the external tank that they're still analyzing.
I believe that tail is about 750 feet long, and maybe you can see it better from here, maybe 600-700 feet long, maybe 150, 200 feet wide. It's really impressive. I'm glad we couldn't see that.
Thank goodness for no rearview mirror. The ride was very smooth throughout this. Up in the transonic phase, it shook just a little bit. They're coming through Mach Q.
This is a camera inside the orbiter from the ET doors and shows the external solid rocket motor separation. Isn't that a spectacular shot? And then we show it again from inside the cabin, although the light is much brighter than this.
The big flash across the windscreen.
This shows that we never saw these pictures, but here's the picture of separation outside from high-speed cameras. And isn't that terrific?
From onboard sensations, the only thing we really saw was the flash of light and our normal avionics cues that we had dumped the solids. We did not see them go away nor feel any jolts.
We're less than 1 G right after separation, transverse Gs, and this baby's just chugging along, and it's just as smooth as glass, that ride is.
Here you see some particles coming by John's window, a couple of white objects. There went one that was indicative of the kind of stuff that we'd been seeing throughout the flight.
This is this is umbilical separation back in that view that we saw, and this is external tank separation, and it is a spectacular sight.
That white particles you see there are ice caused by the hydrogen freezing as it's coming out, and perfectly nominal.
There's the fitting that goes up in the orbiter. There's the umbilical plate, and there's the tank. And as you can see, all this black material there, that's the way the Sophie works. It chars and turns black. So there's a high heating area in there, and it really caught it. And there's another place that's sort of discolored up here toward the nose of the tank.
There was supposed to have been a tumble valve actuate to start the vehicle tumbling, and it did not work. And from our standpoint, it gave us a much better view of the tank. You'll also see the nose discolored.
It almost looks like the nose is it's got all the sulfate gone from it, because there's a sort of metallic color there, but that might be bright sun.
Yeah, we're not sure of that, and people are analyzing that still. This is a scene of me climbing out of the seat. All the operations associated with the suit and the seat while you're in zero G are much easier to handle than it is down here on Earth. I'm just stuffing the helmet in a little bag along with the gloves so that we can tuck them away. There's quite a few connections associated with that suit, but it's no real problem to handle it all in zero G.
In 1G, we had a lot of problem with this helmet. It was always bumping into the hand controller and firing things. There, you see it's up there out of the way. We finally got it right.
That floats nicely.
I'm not going to tell you this picture was made right after we got into orbit, because I don't think either one of us is that gutty, but we made it later on and then ran it backwards.
Actually, we did a suiting exercise while we were on orbit just to make sure that we could get the suits and get back in the seats with no problem, and that's when we filmed it. This is two TV cameras muxed together, one on the left and one on the right, shows the initial payload bay door opening. All of that went nice and smooth. You'll notice the ohms pod coming into view right here. This is the first time we saw some tiles missing off of the ohms pod.
You notice the door kind of hesitates when it opens, too. It did this in a fixture on the ground, and they told us, well, that was due to the fixture. That's the way the door really works.
The camera on the right is an aft camera looking forward. You can see the windows coming. The one on the left is a forward camera looking aft. That door operations went as smooth as it could be, which I was mighty happy, because I didn't particularly care about the thought of going outside and trying to do anything associated with them.
This is a view, pan in the outside that shows the radiators deployed out there. That's a beautiful, beautiful shot with the television.
You can also see those radiators when you look out your forward windows, which surprises us a little bit.
This is an ops mode 8 check out of the hand controller. You move it full throw, and then you read on the cathode ray tube, which is where I'm looking, to see if the hand controller is working properly. And this is very exciting. A little bit of this will last you about 6 months.
This shows a camera forward in the cockpit looking aft, and with John coming out of the seat. This was actually some TV stuff that we did for a status report. Pretty good indication of the kind of problems we have with some of our comm lines, which you had to work pretty hard to make sure you didn't get tied up in those things.
And we stayed tied up in them the whole flight. The government is now looking at wireless mics that I think will really improve the capability of the crew to operate. As you can see there, I'm having to hold mine next to my mouth so I can talk to people.
This is a shot down on our mid-deck storage area where we had all of our stuff stowed, and this was actually just after the press conference, or not press conference, after the conversation we had with the Vice President. Zero G is something else. That is something that all of you should have an opportunity to experience. It is really fun.
You know, if you could do that in your living room without breaking your leg, you sure would.
There's no problem trying to restrain yourself anywhere down there. I'm in the process here of changing out one of our LIO canisters, which is used that we run the air through to take out all the CO2 and any contamination. It's a very easy job. We had a couple of troughs down there where we stow LIO canisters, and you could just fit your legs down in there and kind of push them apart, and it restrains you very nicely.
Look at this. It shows the mobility that we have down the mid-deck. People thought we needed restraint systems to tie ourselves down in there. You don't need any of that. Now watch this mobility that Bob has when he kicks off and goes up to the top side. Boy, I'll tell you, if that isn't the neatest thing in the world.
The thing about it is you don't really go flying around. You need to move a little bit slowly, otherwise you'll end up banging into something, but there's no problem controlling yourself any place you want to go.
Try that in one gravity and see where it gets.
You see, I just was wearing my socks there. I never put any shoes on while you're on orbit. I don't like to when I'm in the house either, so.
This shows what the television will show you out the window, and shows what a great view those spectacular windows gave us. Here's another television view of the Earth.
Now we're coming up to the reason I was glad I was flying with a guy like John that's got all the experience. We're getting ready to come home, and sitting beside a man that knows space testing like he does made you feel mighty good. We're shutting the doors, and all of that again went just like we wanted it to. There were no problems at all associated with it. You can notice there's a little bit of jerky motion when it comes down. We were lowering the starboard door down easy, and you'll notice it bounces pretty good, which we're having to pass on to other following crews to make sure that when they close it, they don't have any problem with overlap. Got it all tucked away, and we're ready to come home.
Now this had them stretch this picture because in the real world there was a beautiful pink up here due to the heat. This is the first part of entry, and there's the sunrise coming up. And we're moving along at about 300,000 feet, and we're just about to 265,000 feet where we go in our first roll reversal. And you'll see that pretty shortly.
Now, we're moving pretty fast, but not quite this fast.
Yeah. That's the first roll reversal. And here's the second roll reversal. It's done at Mach 18 and a half, and this is at 2 frames a second. So we're moving 6 times faster than we would in the real world. 12 times maybe, yeah. Mach 18 and a half, and you really see those clouds go by even in the real world, but it's not quite this fast.
You certainly.
The next roll reversal is at Mach 9.8. There it goes.
We did the roll reversal a little bit slower than that, too.
Yes. And here we come back at the 4.8 roll reversal, and that's Bakersfield out there.
Coming across the Hatchby in the Sierras.
And the vehicle sort of rolls rings level, and this is about at 80,000 feet, and then we went to real-time photography, which is only twice as fast as happens in the real world, and as you can see, everything is slowed down quite a bit. We're pretty high right now, maybe 75, 80,000 feet, coming across the lake bed areas that we told you all about. There's China Lake up in that area, up in there, and you can see it out the left window.
There's Cuddyback, that Pork Chop Lake coming into view at the top.
Right at the top. We're coming out to swing around the heading alignment circle, and it sure is a beautiful view. Looking out that window, you can see everything you need to see. There was just no doubt in our minds that we knew exactly where we were in the flight, even by comparing what we had on our normal ground track with what we're seeing on the instrument. There are 3 sisters up there.
The ride in up to this point had been nice and smooth, and the vehicle controls really tight. It's a nice handling space.
Chase plane joint up there.
And we're getting ready to go in the turn around what we call our heading alignment circle. That's the Mojave River, which is mainly a dry lake bed, or dry riverbed out there. John is driving the vehicle at this point in time, and it's really handled nice. We were right down the middle of the corridor all the way.
The remarkable thing about the space shuttle is it's all electric, and when you move the wings somewhere, they stay there. You put the nose somewhere, and it stays there. It's just an admirable handling vehicle. You couldn't ask for anything as responsive, and as for this kind of a job, it does it exactly like you want it to.
Couldn't have ordered a better day for coming back in. We could have navigated visually all the way from when we hit the coast, which was just a little less than Mach 7 up south of the San Francisco area, all the way down to the San Joaquin Valley to the Edwards. There was no problem knowing where you were at any time.
There's the highway north of Edwards there, and you swing across the lake bed, and it's kind of hard to see at first in these films, but there's the old aim point right there. We're starting to come down the glide slope there, and the runway's still hard to see there.
We have some aim lights that give you an indication of what your glide slope is out there that we refer to as PASI lights. We also had locked onto a microwave landing system, and all of those ended up agreeing right on as to where we were, no doubt whatsoever.
Here's our old chase plane. He's flying back and forth across the bottom of the vehicle, taking pictures to see if there's any tile damage that would not show up. You know, they thought they might get some from the rocks and everything on the desert floor, so he's covering that right now. And chase plane did a real terrific job. The vehicle is very easy to control in this flight regime. We're about into pre-flare right now.
And I was flying about 285 knots at this point. We're like about a 20-degree glide slope. Everything was just as smooth as could be.
There's, we're going into pre-flare, and this is how it looks out the window. You may be able to see 2 or 3 of those lights. 2 white lights is what we're looking for. There are 2 there. We start our pull-up now, and there'll be 3. You'll see the 3rd one come on. So we're on a 20-degree glide slope to pre-flare, which means we can only land right down here at the touchdown point. Here's the wheels coming down.
The wheels really snap down fast. They're much faster than what I anticipated them.
And there's a couple of big black marks you'll see coming up here pretty soon. There they are. That's the touchdown point, and here we go, boy. What a machine. It didn't know about that. Supposed to land on the touchdown point.
But actually, you should understand, John was not trying to touch down on the touchdown point. What we were trying to do was to find out what the real deceleration and touch down about on an airspeed, which was about 185 knots. And all of the ALT flights and this one ended up landing long, which looks to us like we have a little bit more lift capability than what had been predicted.
And we rolled right up here so Kennedy Space Center's recovery team could get a hold of us and hook the coolant up as fast as possible. We rolled into the runway intersection. We did that on purpose, so we hardly used any brakes on this rollout, and there's the vehicle sitting, and she is a beauty. That's, believe it or not, the weight of that vehicle right there is about right around 99 tons. I keep reading where it's 150,000 pounds or 80 tons, but that one right there is 99 tons. It's quite a performance thing to return from orbit with 99-ton spacecraft and get her back all in one piece, I think.